Good morning YouTube, and welcome back to Ferris Farming Organic. Today we're going to be doing a little walk around of our 60-foot-and-a-half air seeder that we use to seed our organic oats. So before we get into today's video, I want to make sure everybody knows to like and subscribe. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. So we're getting to a high point so we can kind of see the whole piece of equipment here. This is, like I said before, a 60-foot-and-a-half field cultivator frame, a John Deere. And what we do, we use these to seed our oats. So you can see here in the front, there is these big old pipes, and these will connect to the air seeder cart. So it's a big cart up here. I think it's like 270 bushels of storage maybe, and that blows through these tubes. It starts right here. It'll blow through these tubes all the way back, and these tubes will connect to these towers right there. So we're going to masterfully make our way over to one of these towers that is all hooked up. Oh boy. Alright, we're going to sit down here. So you can see this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 hoses hooked into it. And you know what, I could have just used the numbers right there, but we didn't. So you can see here all these hoses hook into this one port, and I believe there's like 100 and maybe like 62 sweeps on this cultivator. Am I right? Probably not, but that's probably a pretty close guess. And so all these hoses hook up obviously to that main air seeder, those tubes, which runs the big tube to the top. And then all these little ones go individually behind the sweeps, which I'll show you guys quick. And these are just pushed into these rubber ports, and then a hose clamp is slipped on, tightened up, and they're good to go. So coming down here by one of these sweeps, you can see we cut these metal, I don't know what you want to even call that, pieces, and then we bolt it on to the top bolt behind the sweep. That tube hooks into there, and you can see the sweep's about, I don't know, 3-4 inches lower than this piece right here, and this is cut at an angle. Then get down below there for you. Cut at an angle so the mud doesn't plug it up as easy. We had some issues when we first started making these. With these were just, you know, straight pipes backing up. They weren't cut at an angle, and we had problems with the mud just getting stuck up in there, and then the oats wouldn't come out. So that's kind of what the tubes look like and how we mount them behind the cultivator sweeps. And usually we run these about, I don't know, 4 or so inches in the ground, and then it seeds it in the little trench or whatever you want to call it in that trench, and then that's how we seed our oats. And so we use this instead of a drill. I don't even know what year we started using these, but for as long as I've been out of high school and been full-time on the farm, we have used these. And we usually plant oats around middle of March. We'll start, hopefully, fingers crossed, depends on the weather. But once we get in the field, we'll run across every field with a normal field cultivator, level everything out. Most of the oat ground was corn the year before, or all of it was corn the year before, and it was just disc ripped. So we'll run one pass with the field cultivator before, and then we'll run behind with these and seed the oats. So one more quick thing on these hoses behind here. You can see this one has a zip tie. These all have to be zip tied, so there's not too much slack, but there has to be, you know, just enough. Because when we fold this up, obviously it folds in 3 times. This outside one will fold in first. You know what, there might be a hydraulic, yep, right here. So this first outside wing will fold in first, and then it'll fold up again and be up like that. So all these hoses and these, you would think someone would have figured out where to put all these towers and where to put all these hoses, but these are all custom made stuff, so there's not like a, you know, a book saying where to put everything, how many feet of hose you need, all that stuff. So it's kind of a trial and error. Every year we do it because this one's 60.5. We've had, you know, 56-foot field cultivators we've done this on. So it's, you kind of gotta put some on, then you gotta fold it up, see if all the hoses get yanked out or they're good. So you'd think by now someone would, you know, make it on CAD or have a guidebook to show you where to do it, but they don't. Maybe we should make one. But that's kind of another thing on those hoses that's really hard to, you know, get good at or even get it right. It takes time, and this field cultivator has been in the shop for at least a week, if not a little bit more, being worked on. We had to knock off all the sweeps so we could get at that back bolt, and then you have to put on all the metal pieces on every sweep. We have to put the towers on, all the hoses obviously. So it's just a lot of work to get this machine field ready. But with that being said, we really like these machines and they work really good. These big towers are just held on by a plate, you can see, and then a U-bolt hooks this tower onto that. And then these big towers are also bolts running through around like clamps, and will hook onto that. And that's just a hose clamp that's squeezed on the top. So obviously you can get a lot planted with 60 feet of working space and going 7 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour, seeding oats. So we can usually knock out all the oat planting in a week if the weather cooperates and we have enough people to run seed tenders, you know, field cultivators, all that stuff you need to run at the same time you're running this. So it definitely takes a lot of manpower to obviously put these together and to run. We run on this 60 foot, we'll run one of those 9RXs, probably the 640. We'll have that air cart in between, and then this will be in the back. So it's a pretty big piece of equipment when you're going down the road, and it's a really big piece of equipment when you're going in the field. But how we plant our oats, I don't know if I've ever really covered that. Usually we have 2 field cultivators or air seeders going at a time. So obviously you need a lot of seed tender guys. I don't know how many oats per acre or what the population is, all that stuff. That'd be a question for Jack. Maybe he'll comment how many, whatever, all that stuff. I'm usually in a field cultivator leveling out the ground. I think I've ran an air seeder once or twice. It is a lot of fun, and it's pretty much the same as running a field cultivator. You just have that air cart and you got to fill up with seed all the time. This thing has definitely seen better days. So with all that being said, there's really not a whole lot to this piece of equipment. You can kind of see up here, if you look real hard, all the ports where all the hoses hook up to, just kind of get a feel for how big the piece of equipment is. And yeah, it's a really not fun thing to work on during the winter season, but it is a necessity, and it's one of the first things that go into the field. So it's one of the first things that we work on in the winter season. And I know a lot of guys that watch these videos farm also, so they kind of understand the pain of having to crawl underneath a field cultivator, take off all the sweeps, change the sweeps, all that fun stuff. And yes, currently I am sitting on top of an RV taking a video of a cultivator. That right there, Clark's an RV. So as I kind of walk around the shop and kind of think of more things to talk about on this piece of equipment, I noticed we have some row units from a row crop cultivator that we took off, so I'm gonna quick talk about those. So these row units are off of an 85.6 John Deere row crop cultivator, and we will reuse these after we weld on the extra 10 feet onto the 40-foot bar, obviously to make it a 60-foot cultivator, and then we'll reuse these row units on cultivators to obviously have the row units on them. So most of these units will be used, and I remember doing a video on this burner right here. Those are actually row units off of a cultivator also, just modified to use as a burner. So really every row crop cultivator we have that is not a 60 foot is a 40 foot. We take apart and we assemble it to be at a 60 foot. So if you do have a John Deere bar, or really any brand of bar that's 40 foot that you're looking to get rid of, definitely shoot me an email, or Jack. His email is also in the description of this video, and yeah, we will definitely be interested if it is within reason. So I think that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. There's not a whole lot to talk about on this piece of equipment, but I feel like I covered it decently well. If you do have any more questions, leave a comment. If you are still watching to this point, I'd highly encourage you to leave a like if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, still leave a like, because why not? Doesn't hurt you to click your little mouse or tap your phone one time. And if you do it once, you might as well do it twice to push the subscribe button. We are getting closer to the spring season, although outside it's blowing and snowing and currently 10 degrees. But believe it or not, in 2 months, hopefully we are in the field and are in full swing. So definitely stay tuned for that. Next video will be, hopefully, if I'm around, taking apart one of the row crop cultivators. I think it's an 85-6 16 row, and then we will be obviously adding the 10 feet and using those row units that we just talked about to make it a usable 24 row. So if you want to see that, subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you will be notified when that video posts. And until then, we will catch you in the next one.